we are going to be looking into a lot of things that our guides want to talk about. One of the biggest ones is going to be talking about the level of energy protection that you place around yourself, faith that it works, belief in the gifts that you have, and really understanding that it doesn't matter what people try to throw your way, as long as you are taking time for self-care, self-love, energy protection, cleansing, healing, all of those good things. It keeps those people out of your energy, and your faith is a big part of that, believing that it keeps those people out of your energy. Reversals and transmutations of that energy as well. Sometimes you just don't have the energy to transmute it, because it does take some of your energy to transmute it, but you can always call upon more energy from the earth as well. So at some points, reversing that energy, there's nothing wrong with that. You're sending the energy back where it belongs with its owner. And at the same time, when you're transmuting that energy, then you can heal that energy and get rid of it instead of sending it back to the owner, which has an even bigger impact, because then it's also kind of healing that person to not have that energy on them, but it's not on the people they're sending it at either. Anyway, you may have definitely been seeing a lot of crows lately as well, if this reading is resonating for you. There have been crows like crazy around me right now. Crows are very, very intelligent animals. And if you don't know, crows can actually speak like parrots can. They can actually mimic the words of humans. Crows will also remember everything that you do for them, all the good things that you do for them. They will remember that, and they will bring you back gifts and presents. So the amount of good energy that you're putting out there is seen, it's felt, it's remembered. And the universe does send you back good things to bless you for the blessings that you bring to the world outside of yourself. So remember that as well, and keep that in mind when it comes to dealing with people in situations that you're dealing with around you. When you're thinking, oh, I can't do this because I'm not getting anything for it, remember that the universe will bring you blessings for the blessings that you bring to the world around you. So even if it's not coming from that person, it's coming from somewhere. There's actually, I was doing some work last night with some people, and one of them started talking about his stuff, and I was like, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't mean to put that on you. I was like, well, technically that is what I do for work. And he's like, well, you're not getting paid for this session, so let's just leave that out of tonight. And I was like, well, that's fine. I was like, and at the same time, there's been a lot of sessions that I haven't gotten paid for. I'm the one who gets to decide where I put that energy and how I give it out. And I can only give out so much of it for free. And when it's being used and abused, then I cut it off. But at the same time, I don't mind helping people work through some of their problems. And I do know that that comes back to you when you put that energy out there. So any of that good energy that you're putting out there, it will come back to you in good ways. Some people will try to convince you to keep everything you have for yourself, but that goes beyond self-care. That's selfishness. Literally, that right there is selfishness. There's a difference between self-care and selfishness. So you got to find that nice, happy medium between being too selfless and being too selfish, and giving and being open to receiving. And then as you give, that energy comes back to you and you receive as well. But you also have to believe that you're worthy of receiving, that you deserve to receive, things like that. That's how you become open and receptive to receiving. You can't go, oh, I give away everything and nothing ever comes back to me, and then expect things to come back to you. You have to say, I give away so much, and so much comes back to me because of what I give away. I am really generating a lot of success in my life because of what I'm putting out there. And what I'm putting out there comes back to me. And what I'm putting out there is a good energy, so that good energy comes back to me. So, what other messages our guides want to talk to us about today? Follow up. Oh, I'm so sorry, dear. Did you not hear me clear? Too much hood is never good, but hood is what I need to succeed. A happy medium's always nice, hot as fire, cold as ice. You gotta be both to be my man. Have you not heard the plan? So, everybody is always going to have both good and bad inside of them. And, you know, people, there's a lot of times where people are going to try to be what you want them to be, basically. And yeah, people a lot of times end up trying to be what you want them to be. So being able to be, hi Rashima, nice to see you. Being able to be okay with the fact that people are just people and they are encompassing all aspects of themselves. When somebody comes in and it's looking too good to be true, that's probably because it is, because nobody is perfect. And if somebody is looking perfect and like there's nothing wrong with them, there's nothing that is a shadow side, there's nothing that is in any way, shape, or form something to worry about, then you might want to start questioning what their shadow side is. If somebody's coming at you with their full truth out there on Front Street and they got their light side and they got their shadow side and you're getting a chance to see both of them and they're not hiding any of it from you, then you know what? That's something you can trust a lot better than somebody who's coming in looking perfect. Because somebody who's coming in looking perfect, as I found out multiple times throughout my life, perfection, there is usually a ton more decay underneath it, festering, waiting to be exposed. One of the first places I learned that was when I was 10 years old and we moved in with my mom's ex-boyfriend. And we lived in a decent house. We had bedtime every day. We had dinner on the table every night. We had clothes to wear. We were going to a better school. Everything just looked so perfect, right? And this guy, he didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he didn't do drugs, he didn't gamble, he didn't beat women. He seemed like the perfect man. Although there was a lot of emotional and mental stress and abuse that my mom went through while she was with him. She went from being a single mother who could take care of 5 kids to a single mother who couldn't even manage to take care of 3 kids or herself while she was with him. And honestly, at that point, I was just like, everybody else is happy, so why would I ruin it for me? But he was also a child molester because he was molesting myself and my younger sister. That's what happens when you go for somebody who's perfect, because they're looking perfect from the outside, sure, but there's no such fucking thing. So they are hiding far greater demons than anybody who is walking around showing their demons. I'm not sorry. I know a lot of people will tell me, I'm so sorry you went through that, and oh, it sucks that you had to go through that. I'm not sorry at all. I'm not sorry at all, because if it wasn't for that, I would not be here talking to you today, Rashima. I wouldn't be here talking to anybody today if it wasn't for that happening in my life. And so I am not sorry at all that I went through that, because it made me who I am today. But I wouldn't necessarily want it to happen again, and I wouldn't want it to happen to my children. And so when it comes to people, I'm not necessarily looking for a perfect person, because there's no such thing as a perfect person. I'm sure there's a lot of people who actually get tired of hearing me say that I'm not sorry about it too, but I don't care. Everybody will get to that point eventually with their abuse, that you're not sorry it happened. If it wasn't for everything that you went through, exactly. See, this is what I was just saying. If it wasn't for everything you went through, you would never have found the passion, the motivation, and the drive to create all that you have. You would have never had the knowledge or the wisdom either. You strove to prove yourself, and you did it. It's time to forgive and release the past hurt and the pain. Anybody who put you down, anybody who left you out in the cold, anybody who cast you out by yourself, all of that stuff had to be done in order for you to be able to achieve the goals that you're working on, the goals that the universe wanted you to be able to achieve, that you wouldn't have went out and achieved if it wasn't for the fact that you had to fight against everybody to get there. So it's time to release that, it's time to forgive that, and it's time to move forward knowing that everything that you have done is all really going to be paying off in your life, and it's going to be paying off in very big ways. We've all had pain. especially those of us who are super passionate. And it's okay. It does happen sometimes. When we see it, it's up to us to choose to heal. And that's our opportunity for growth. They have them too. Everyone could choose to heal at any time, so choose to hope for it. Choose to hope that people are ready to move beyond the self-hate, the guilt, the shame, the doubt, the despair, the misery that they're spreading to others. Choose to hope and believe that they can heal from that, and that they want to heal from that, and that they are going to choose to heal from that. Pray for them to heal from that. And allow yourself to be okay with the fact that there's a lot of hurt people walking around in this world. And sometimes that hurt's going to spill over onto you. And also know that when it's intentional, those people will definitely receive their own for putting you through what they did. So you don't have to worry about it. Just wash your hands of it and know that everything will come out the other side as clean laundry again. You're never stuck. Be honest, my dear. What is it you truly fear? Hold your head high and know that you can fly. Take that leap for yourself. Don't rot on the shelf. Follow your heart, passion's true call. Let faith be your guide through it all. You can do this, you know you can. Pack up now and get a plan. Explain from your heart. Don't break up an art. Tell them there's someone who will feel it too. That someone is just not you. What they truly want is not someone to haunt, but someone who feels the same. Something where there is a lit up burning flame. So, if there's ever been a time where you have dealt with somebody who has strung you along, breadcrumbed, ghosted, it's like they felt something for you, but they didn't feel something for you because they weren't putting in the actions, they weren't putting in the words, they were just showing it half-assedly at points and times, but not really. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, have there been times where you have been scared or nervous or worried about telling people how you feel in a situation and letting them know, I'm not feeling the same way about you as you are about me. This situation just isn't working out, and I'm really not looking to be here right now. Did you avoid doing that because of how much you felt like it was going to hurt that person? Because a lot of those people are not evilly trying to go out there and rip people's hearts out. Some of them, yes, some of them are intentionally doing that. But a lot of them, they don't want to tell people that they don't have interest in them. Not only because it's going to hurt them, but also because a lot of times there is a very volatile emotional reaction from those people that you tell that to. And so a lot of times they're worried about what's going to happen if they say this, because a lot of people get really upset when people don't feel the same for them as they do for them. So being able to see things from that other perspective helps you to be able to do those things in your life and have less judgment on others for when they're not doing them in their life. And also, you can't just sit around and be somewhere where you're not feeling like there's something real there. There was a guy that I dated for about 2.5 months a couple years ago. And he was wanting to date me, and I was like, I'm really not super feeling that for you, although everybody keeps telling me that love grows slowly, and so maybe it can grow or something. And I kind of let him convince me, and I convinced myself that love can grow in this situation. And he actually said to me at one point in time something about, you're my karma, aren't you? Because he had been a very big player for a very long while. And so he's like, you're my karma, aren't you? That's what this is. And I wasn't necessarily trying to be his karma, but maybe I was. And basically, I did actually start to feel something a little bit, but at that point he had started sleeping with his ex again. And I was pretty damn sure of it. And then the night after I left him, he had her spending the night over at his house. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he was sleeping with his ex. But even though I was starting to feel something, it wasn't quite the same as what it generally is when I'm feeling like I'm in love with somebody. It was more like that comfort feeling. And that comfort feeling isn't the same thing as what you want in a love relationship. So we have the Andromedans, autonomy, free will, and manifestation. Alchemy, the philosopher's stone, infinite destiny, and magic. So it is truly amazing how much healing a child's book can bring to a child in their time of despair, in their time of hurt, in their time of pain, especially when it's coming from somebody who has been through a lot of pain, abuse, trauma. When you take these gifts that you've been given, because that's what your abuse is, it's a gift. It may be a curse too. Every gift has a cursed side. Every gift has a cursed side. Empaths, they have a cursed side. And you know what? Honestly, I feel like narcissists and empaths are two sides of the same coin. You can choose to be either one because you have free will. I feel like a lot of times narcissists are the empaths that have decided they are not dealing with those emotions at all. They can read people, they can act on those emotions and shit like that, but they have chosen to be selfish in the way that they act on those emotions because they're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you're paranoid. The whole world's out to get you. And you got to protect yourself. You got to make sure that you are taking care of you first. You got to make sure that nobody's getting one over on you. You got to make sure that, exactly. You got to make sure that you come first. Like I said earlier, there's a fine line between selfish and self-love. There's a very fine line between those two things. Just like there is a fine line between selflessness and love of another. And having that nice happy medium in there is a good thing. Being able to detach yourself from the emotions of others enough that you are not taking all of their burdens onto your shoulders and making them your own is a good thing. But detaching yourself too much turns you into the bad guy. And technically, you're the bad guy if you don't detach yourself at all either. Because empaths are very toxic to other people when they have no boundaries. When they're busy enabling every bit of abuse, they're just as toxic as the abuser is. Even if it's a different form of toxicity, it's still a form of toxicity. That abuser is not healing at all. That abuser is learning that they can abuse people and it's okay. And the empath is allowing themselves to be abused and then playing the victim. So that's why you got to heal. But you also got to be a little more understanding and less judgmental of the people around you who are working on healing as well. Especially if you're a healer, because you can't heal people if you're busy judging them. You just can't. And when it comes to, it's kind of like when it comes to with a healer and a leader, it's like with a leader. If you're a leader, you can't judge the followers. You can't be sitting there going, oh, all these copycats and all these Beckys and Bobbies and getting all pissed off at that. Because guess what? Those people, the ones following you, you can't be a leader without followers, for one thing. For another thing, you're teaching them to hate the people that are following them instead of loving the fact that they are inspiring people around them to make healthy changes in their life. Because that's what a leader is doing, inspiring people to make healthy changes in their life and to make good decisions for themselves and the collective. And if you got people copying you when you're doing that, good for you. Because you're changing the fucking world, and that's how you do it. Can't change the world if there's nobody wanting to walk in those same footsteps. If there's nobody looking up to you. If there's nobody inspired by you. And there's a difference, a very big difference between people who are following you and looking up to you and trying to do the same things in their life and people who are stealing from you, hurting you, and trying to take what you have. That's a complete difference. But they're also not copying you then. Because you're not running around stealing from people, trying to take what they have and trying to stomp on them. So technically, those are not people copying you. They're taking a watered down version of your work and trying to claim it's theirs. And their walk will speak louder than any talk ever could. So you don't even need to talk about it. Just like your walk will speak louder than anybody else's talk ever could. So all you need to do is walk and hope that the impression that you're leaving and hope that the good works that you're doing are seen, appreciated, noticed, and followed by others. And that's what a good leader is doing. A good leader isn't looking behind them wondering who's going to take what they have. A good leader is too focused on leading the way. Shaman. Maiden. Make plans and focus. Trust in the higher forces. Protection guardian. Drop your shields. So, now, we already talked about not having good enough shields. Let's talk about having too much shields. Because when you have too many shields in place, it's just as bad as having not enough shields in place. When you think that everyone around you is the enemy all the time, and you're constantly trying to make sure that you are guarded from those enemies, how many people do you think you're hurting around you on an all-the-time basis? Whether you like to face that mirror or not, whether you like to look at yourself in that light or not, that happens. You end up hurting a lot of people while you are completely detached from your emotions and detached from other people, and there's no intimate connections. That's what starts putting you in that survival mode. That's what starts putting you in that paranoid mode. That's what starts putting you in that rabbit hole of crap. And that's also what starts putting you in that energy of taking advantage of others, of hurting others before they can hurt you, of running away from situations so that you don't have to deal with the triggers that come up when you start getting intimately involved with people after you've been hurt by people you were intimately involved with. So there is a time for dropping those shields and allowing your heart to be open again, allowing yourself to connect to people again, and allowing yourself to drop the hurt and the pain of the past that has caused you to close yourself off from everyone and everything around you, causing not only everybody around you hurt, but causing yourself hurt. 2222 is on the clock right now. How do you find peace, balance, harmony in connections? You don't do that with your shields up so high that they got to scale a giant 100-foot brick wall to get inside of there. Of course, you also don't do it when your shields are so low that they can just walk in and shit on you and walk right back out, and you're going to let them come do it the next day too. So there's a nice happy medium, and that's apparently a very big topic of this reading today, is a nice happy medium. Balance is everything. Moderation is everything. When it comes to going out and getting a couple drinks, there is nothing wrong with going out and getting a couple drinks. When you're drinking all day, every day, because you're in pain, you're hurt, and you're trying to sweep it under the rug, or you have spiritual gifts and you don't want those spiritual gifts to be there, so you're trying to drown out those voices from the divine. Anything like that is not okay. But going out and having a couple drinks once in a while, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're not using it as a crutch, there's nothing wrong with it. If you're not using it as something to numb everything, there's nothing wrong with it. If you're not using it as something to get through your emotions, there's nothing wrong with it. When you're going out and having a couple drinks to have some fun and, have a good night, shit like that, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Same with anything else on this planet. It's when you start diving into it neck deep and you can't find your way back out of it, that's when there's something wrong with it. And even then, can't necessarily judge those people because I can understand why they would be there, although I am damn proud of myself for the last couple years because I have had many options to do just that, especially with the way I've been living. And I've managed to keep my stability. I've managed to keep my strength. I've managed to stay standing strong and to turn away from the temptation to just bury it all in some sort of substance, because there's been plenty of them around me for me to be able to do that, and I haven't done that. So if you haven't done that either, be extremely proud of yourself, and if you have done that, don't judge yourself so harshly, because you know what? This can be a very hard, cruel, awful world sometimes. And sometimes it feels like you're never going to come out of that. And sometimes it feels like this would be the easier way. But you know what? There is pros and cons of everything. And there's a lot of cons of burying all that shit. Whether you bury it in substances, whether you bury it in food, whether you bury it in, it doesn't even matter what you bury it in. If you bury it, it comes back out to bite you in the fucking ass. And it all comes back out at once. And then you have to deal with everything that you decided not to deal with for fucking years sometimes. My dad spent the majority of his life as an alcoholic. He got sober 1 year before he died from cirrhosis of the liver. He had gotten a lot of his medical shit taken care of. He was doing really good, getting everything together, was completely sober, he had worked through a lot of his trauma. He had talked to me about a lot of his trauma. And I had helped him work through a lot of his trauma. And then he died. And it kind of sucked because, I hadn't even seen him sober throughout my whole entire life. I had never seen him sober until that last year. And that's generally what tends to happen if you throw yourself into that for your whole life to bury those things. They come out and then they leave those lasting wounds like that and take you with them when they leave. And trust in your own healing capabilities as well. People really need to know that they have that inside of themselves. There's not just a couple chosen people in this world. Everybody can do those things if they work on them. If they study them, if they put their heart and soul into it, they can do those things. Now, if you would like to do those things and not have to put in the work like that, there are people that you can pay to help you with those things. And then you got to believe in their skills and abilities. And there's nothing wrong with that either. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing it that way because sometimes your purpose is in another area. And in order to get to that purpose, you still have to go through the healing. So finding other people that can help you heal through those things is going to be very helpful for that. And sometimes finding other people to teach you how to do those things is very important too, which is why I started doing these sessions with the energy clearing and protection and shielding and stuff, is because that way people can learn how to do that for themselves. And I mean, you can still study it and you can still go look it up and stuff like that. But a lot of those things take years to learn when you don't have somebody else there helping you. And it is a lot of money sometimes to pay for some of those things, but it's not about the cost. It's about how much it's worth. How much is it worth to you to take that knowledge with you, to take those gifts with you, to be able to do that on a regular basis because you put out the money to do that one time and you figured out how to do it for yourself. So, you've definitely been working extremely hard. And you've definitely been feeling very weighed down, burdened from the past hurt, the past pain, the past trauma, everything that you've gone through. And I've been there myself. And you know what? Not only does that affect your mental health, that affects your physical health. It can completely destroy your physical health. At one point in time, I think it's about 4 or 5 years ago now. At this point, it's like 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago. I was in fucking pain, head to foot, from the time I was like 13, 14 years old on. Fucking head to foot, full body pain all the time. Constant pain. Constantly. My shoulders were fucking hurting all the time. I had migraines constantly. And now I have one every 6 months and it lasts a day or two, and it's not the worst, most excruciatingly painful experience in my life every month. Instead, it's once every 6 months and it's only like 2 to 3 days instead of a week long. I was getting to the point where my hands were actually locking up and I couldn't move them. My hands don't do that anymore. Of course, I also don't let myself sit there for 16 hours doing something I know is tearing up my shoulders. When it comes to holding on to stress and I can feel it in my shoulders, I take a minute to take a few deep breaths and to allow all my muscles to relax. I ask myself, what is weighing on my shoulders? And I deal with that problem. So that problem is not stacking up and then adding another one and then adding another one and then adding another one. And you're sitting there with a mountain full of problems on your shoulders that are weighing you down. And you don't think that that takes its toll on your physical health? It does. It takes its toll on your physical health immensely. If you catch it in time, it doesn't create problems that never go away. But sometimes it does create problems that never go away. And at other times, you got there early enough. So it's time to start unpacking that baggage. It's time to start releasing all of that. It's time to start taking the high road. It's time to start forgiving and letting go. And realizing that we are not meant to be the judge. My name, Danielle, actually means God is my judge. And you know, that fits me so well, because that's a lot of the reason I don't give a flying fuck when anybody thinks about me, period, bottom line. Because they aren't my fucking judge. What the fuck right do you have to judge me? Not a damn, even a little sliver of a right. Which is also why I have to remind myself of that when I start thinking judgments against others. I don't have one sliver of a fucking right to judge any damn person on this planet. Doesn't matter what they did. There's a few of those spots where it's a little more, I have to really remind myself of that. And that's because I've been through a lot of abuse from a lot of different people. But God is the judge. The divine beings are the judge. Personally, I feel like there is a God and goddess, because you know what? There cannot be life on this planet without a woman and man creating it. Men would like to take credit for creating the entire universe, but they couldn't do that alone. You have to have a man and a woman. And about the time that they stopped putting women into everything and stopped respecting women, that's about the time they stopped respecting the earth too. Mother Earth turned into the devil. The devil comes from beneath our feet, right? Mother Earth turned into the devil. We still got Father Sky. That's where God came from, Father Sky. But our mother turned into the devil all of a sudden. And imagine that, every woman was villainified for thousands of years on this earth, following suit with that. Huh. So, yeah, that's just my beliefs on that. But I really don't judge anybody for believing anything else, but that's how I feel about it, is there has to be women too. And women have been used, abused, hurt, neglected, broken, and thrown in the damn trash for far too fucking long. And it's all because the religious majority of the planet for the last 2,000 years has given no credit to women, no recognition, no respect, no love, no care. And they've decided that there was no woman who created life. It was only man by himself. And there could be some things like that that need to be forgiven for you as well. Whether that be forgiving yourself for being one of those men, or whether that be forgiving the men in your life as a woman. And being able to let that go. And believing that there really are good men out there who do not feel the same. And who actually do respect the women in their lives. And believe that they are just as equally responsible for the life and the beauty created around them as they are. There's definitely a lot of transformations coming. A lot of new things. And you can't feel safe, and change is coming, and transformations coming, and new things coming into your life. When you're stuck on the past hurt, pains, and trauma, and scars, because you're going to be feeling like this change is bringing bad things. Change is equally capable of bringing both good and bad, and it always brings both. Right now in your life, there's both good and bad, right? No matter what area of your life you go into, there's always going to be both good and bad. So you can't let fear of those changes hold you back. The firefly and the starfish. You're going to start becoming a lot more in depth with some of the things you're doing. You're going to start becoming more deep. And you're going to stop playing in the kiddie pool, playing in the shallow end. Because when you have your shields up like that, and your shields are so high that there is no intimate connections being created in your life that are very strong or very deep, that's where you're at. You're in that shallow energy. And it's hard to admit that. It's hard to believe that, hey, those shallow people I've been talking about this whole time, oh, that's me. I've been being very shallow. But I've been being shallow because of the hurt and the pain. Doesn't excuse it, but it does let you know this is what needs to change. That hurt and pain needs to be let go of so that I can start making deeper connections. Does this world feel like you're alone, you're lost, you're cast out into the cold and the darkness, and there's nobody who cares, there's nobody who loves you, there's nobody who would be there for you? If it does, ask yourself, have you been only making shallow connections? Or have you been getting deeper with people around you? Have you been worried what people are going to take from you? Or have you been giving freely and then opening your arms so that they can give back to you and being okay with them giving to you? Because a lot of times when you're giving everything away and you're not getting anything back, it's because you're not okay with them giving anything back. And even if they try, you're telling them, oh no, don't worry about it. No, 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 I don't need that. No, I don't want that. Instead of telling them, oh, hey, thank you. I really appreciate you giving to me too. Isn't it great that we can both give to each other? Because then you start attracting the takers too. And then you start kind of becoming a taker, even if you don't realize it. And it sucks to understand that, realize that, wake up and go, holy shit, this is what I've been doing. But once you face that, you're able to change it. You're only able to change the things that you are able to face. And you are here to be a light in the dark for others, to be an inspiration for others, to be that beautiful beacon of hope and joy and love and light. But you can't be that if you're only getting into a surface level connection with everyone around you. You can't be that if you're so weighed down and buried by the burdens of others around you. And that's also part of the reason why you could have started having more shallow connections, because you didn't want to be carrying the weight of everyone else on your shoulders. You don't have to carry the weight of everyone else on your shoulders. They can cry on your shoulder and then they can go home and you can go, this is not my problem. I do hope that everything works out for this person, but this is not my problem. My kitty is being a little poop. You are being a little poop. She's been up here like 8 times, jumping in my lap. And you know what? There's a lot of times where she's just like, I want to be on my own. But when she wants to have love, she wants to have love. And she wants it right now. And you know, there really is a need for you to open up more. And to really start building stronger, deeper, longer lasting connections and not worrying about what the future is going to bring. Especially since generally nothing is going to last forever. So if you're worried about everything lasting forever and what if it's gone and what if it hurts and what if there's pain from this again, don't worry about that. There might be, and that's okay. Generally, there's gonna be. I mean, shit. Everything ends eventually. Even if it ends in death, everything ends eventually. But we could all die tomorrow. And if we died tomorrow, what would you regret? Who would you regret not talking to? Who would you regret not taking a chance on? Not putting yourself out there with? If they died tomorrow, who would you miss the most? Put yourself out there with those people. Show them that you care. Show them that you love them. And if they aren't returning it, they aren't returning it. And you can move on to somewhere else where you can put out that love and it can come back to you. But you can't just never love again because you might get hurt. Yeah, there might be pain if you choose to love again. But there might be love too. And there might be bliss. And there might be happiness and joy and wonder and magic. But if you choose not to, all there is pain. Because you're in pain now. Whether you like to admit it or not, whether you like to see it or not, you're in pain now. And it may not feel like it's as bad of pain as it would be if your heart was broken again. But it is. It's just a more subtle pain that's there all the time, that eats away at you slowly. Instead of killing you so quickly and swiftly, it eats at you slowly and breaks you down. And it's all because of our own choice of what we're choosing to live with and the choices we're making every day. That pain is allowed to eat away at us slowly. We can choose something else. My kitty is silly. I just noticed the comment, kitty. Hi, Maple. It's nice to see you again. So let's see what else our guides want to talk about today. Hi, Jack. Nice to see you. So, we have someone is upset that you chose happiness and peace over the drama and chaos. You decided that you were no longer a player in their game, and now they are playing alone. But soon there will be a game over. They will get bored or they will get caught at it. So, the first thing that popped in my mind is a song that I've been listening to lately a lot. And she says that all them boys with the sad eyes, they was always going to make me the bad guy. And those people that everything that happened in their past relationships is everyone else's fault. Thank you, Maple. I am still doing buying questions until this session's over. There's another hour and 20 minutes that I'm going to be on here, as long as the heat doesn't, the sun came out. After I was like, ooh, yay, I can do my reading a little bit later because it's raining. The sun came out, so it is starting to get a little bit warm out here. So as long as the heat isn't affecting my phone, I will be on here for the next hour and 20 minutes, and you are welcome to buy a question through that whole time. Okay, sounds good. So, it's called Protection. That song is called Protection. I'll share it later because I don't know if you'll be able to find it. It's not the most widely listened to songs. I've been listening to a lot of songs by spiritual leaders recently, and it's nice having songs that aren't only by Christians, that are spiritual songs about things like that. So I've been listening to a lot of newer ones lately, and I will definitely share that song later. I really like that song. And if you have my High Vibes playlist saved or something, it's actually in my High Vibes playlist as well. There's a lot of really good songs in there. I really like Karen Drucker as well. She's got one, Thank You for This Day. That is a great song. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. This beautiful, this beautiful, this beautiful day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends. Great song. It reminds you to be thankful for the things that you have in your life. And even if you don't have any human friends, if you got animal friends, you got friends to be thankful for. If you got even just people who have been a light in your life, they may not be your friends, but you can be grateful for that as well. There could definitely be somebody that is upset right now about you walking away and their games being exposed for what they are. Because I feel like they're going to definitely be being exposed for who they are. And they're not going to be happy about that at all. Never alone. You might feel like it's too hard to take. Everyone around you is faulty and fake. No place real to rest your head except at home in your own bed. Know that you are never alone. Continue to stick to your zone. Real ones will come around when you're ready for them to be found. Leave behind the guilt and doubt. Turn yourself inside out. Being alone is better by far than fake friends not up to par. Lean on your angels and ancestors too. Feel the love that they have for you. You are strong and made to face what life throws. You are the lucky ace. So, if anybody wants to be able to find any of my poems that I share on here as well, you can find them on my other channel, Dee's Storytime. You can find a link for that in the description box below. That's a lot of what it takes to get to balance and harmony as well in your life, to get to peace and to find alignment, is being able to realize that you are never alone, whether that's spiritually or physically. You are never alone. You have the chance and the opportunity every day to reach out and connect with other people around you. There's a lot of fear involved in it too when you've been hurt so badly, but you have to overcome that fear. Let that fear give rise to faith and courage instead. You can either face everything and rise, or you can fear everything and run. And that's the choice you make every day when it comes to connecting with other people and building those connections and achieving that intimacy and really being able to open yourself up and have people in your life. You can't have people in your life if you're scared of having people in your life. And so you have to work through those triggers and heal the pain and the root cause of why you were feeling afraid of having those people in your life. Even if you've been hurt, you're still here. You're still standing. You're still strong. And you've learned a lot from those things. So there is nothing to fear. And if it happens again, it will hurt less than it did last time. Trust me on that. Every time it happens, it hurts a little bit less than it did the time before. And every time it happens, you get a little bit better at doing it too. Every time it happens, you get a little bit less attached to the outcome and the expectations of it. And you're just able to let it flow easier and let it glide easier and overthink things less. Be triggered less. I'm going to read this page really quick and then I will do that question for you. There is a deep desire within you to do the right thing. You are someone who thinks outside of the box. You perceive things in a very different way. You may be sabotaging yourself through rigidity in some sort of way. Remember that boundaries are good, but so is flexibility and adaptability, the ability to compromise. There may be someone jealous over the time and the attention that is being placed on someone else at this time, possibly an ex-lover, but you have all the skills and the tools necessary to communicate effectively in this situation and to bring the best outcome for all in a positive way. Believe in yourself. This is reminding me a lot of my ex right now, because I swear to God, every time I even look at another man in any kind of way, all of a sudden him and my kids are ghosting and breadcrumbing me again, and they disappear out of my fucking life again. And you know what? It's bullshit. And yeah, I am a little bit pissed off about it. But at the same time, being pissed off about it and bitching about it and complaining about it and moaning about it isn't going to do a damn thing. But you know what could? Sitting and talking about it could actually do a lot. Although sitting and talking with my ex is kind of like talking to a brick wall sometimes. And he's a Libra, so, you know, people pleaser galore. He will sit there and act like, oh yeah, I agree, and I agree, and I agree. And then he'll go behind your back and fucking slander it all, and also continue doing the same thing because he didn't really agree at all. He just was saying he agreed so that there was no conflict, instead of actually putting his own damn feelings out there, instead of living in his perfect little box he has to live in where there's no emotions, because, you know, he can't disappoint his mom, who always thought he was perfect because he never wanted anything, or he never asked for anything, or he never made any waves or conflicts or ripples, because she's a very narcissistic woman. She just really is a very narcissistic woman, and very stuck in that martyr syndrome shit going on too. So anyway, let's get to this question. What will Jocelyn Marie Lane's karma be for doing black magic against you? You may feel like it's somewhat of a slap on the wrist, because she may be receiving warnings before there's worse if she doesn't stop. Arm yourself against a worldly view. What truly feels right to you? In your heart, you will find the answers that you seek in your mind. Don't overthink. Don't give in. Stand strong in the position that you're in. If you have something to say it. And don't worry what others think. So, there could be some things being done with your throat chakra where you're not able to express yourself, not able to express the truth in your everyday life. This can only affect you as much as you allow it to affect you. Pray, reversals, transmutations, those are all great ways to be able to deal with this and effectively get rid of it. Shielding your energy so that her energy is not allowed in there. Mirroring it back to her, giving it straight back to the owner. Those are all great things to be able to get you through. I actually do have a reading from a couple months ago. If you type in my name and throat chakra healing, you can actually probably find it pretty easily. It's been a little while since I've done some of those. I may actually have to do some more of those again in the future. But I have all the chakras with a pick a card reading so that it could target specifically what different people are going through. I wish I could be with you. Trust me, I didn't want to leave you. I understand your anger and I feel your pain. I wish that I could dry all your tears and bring sunshine back to your cloudy day. Remember the song that I used to sing to you. It's your turn now, and I wish I could be there for this beautiful time in your life. Try not to let this loss get in the way of your life. Time is precious. Use it wisely. You are so smart and so amazing. I am proud of who you have become, and I am always watching over you and yours. So there could definitely be somebody on the other side reaching out to you. I want to say mother, but it may not be. It might just be a feminine person in general who was just very kind to you, loving to you in some sort of way. I can completely understand that. And underneath all the hate, underneath all the pain, underneath all of that is still love at the end of the day. Because if we truly love all, then we love all. But try to focus on the good things about her. Pray for her to heal. Pray for yourself to be able to let go and release this situation. And pray for that protection. Ask your ancestors, because I feel like that's part of what this message is too, is your ancestors are letting you know that they are here for you if you need them. All you have to do is call upon them and ask for their help. Ask for their strength. Ask for them to be behind you. There's a lot of power in your ancestors standing behind you. And knowing that you're not alone and you have them on your side really helps as well. And sometimes they just aren't going to step in and do anything unless you ask for it, because they don't want to be stepping on any toes. And don't be asking for like specific things to happen, especially if it's with ill intentions. But just asking for that protection, that guidance, that strength, and asking for that protection from any kind of spiritual entities or energies that may be coming your way is something that is very powerful. So we're going to grab one more. Frontin' with balls. People front all the time. It's always seen through. Just give me a dime. If you did, I'd be rich by now. Everybody wondering exactly how. Lies fall like blood red rain, extending all of human pain. Hurt people, or so I'm told. Trying to heal people till I'm old. Hurt or not, I try not to hurt, but others never really assert. Intimidation got them quaking. In the oven, our love's bacon. Short on needed supplies to make it. Shut up now, you don't get to throw a fit. You can't be honest about who you are, then you will never go very far. If lies is what you seek to sow, in reaping you will get your prize bow. Something fake and faulty, it doesn't feel right, till you're losing hope and out of sight. You say you're one thing, not thinking others sing, not regarding the image you can't keep, not examining the truths that start to leak. Know yourself before you move towards me. Don't present a picture that no one will ever see. Just be you and I'll just be me. That's the step that will set you free. So there could have definitely been some lies that happened here as well. I can understand that. I don't necessarily want anything bad to happen to the people I'm dealing with either, although sometimes it does, and I got to be okay with that too, because they tell me that that's what had to happen. But I can understand the wanting to be left alone by them too. So I have a feeling that this person is really going to be having a lot of things coming out about them and about who they are, about how they treat people, about how they've been behaving, things like that. There's definitely going to be a lot of that that's going to be coming out in this person's life, and they are going to be having to face a lot of censure, a lot of criticism, a lot of people that are walking away from them. She's definitely going to be dealing with a lot of situations where people are really going to be changing their view on her, because the mask is going to be falling off and people are going to be starting to see the real her. See, for you, spring, see your seeds grow. And trader, exchange energy to create abundance. So the advice for you is to remember that the seeds that you are planting are growing. Sometimes it takes a lot to get those seeds to grow. It takes patience, it takes dedication, it takes commitment, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. It also takes being able to move away from the situation and allowing those seeds to grow on their own. Not hovering over them, not smothering them, not completely dumping everything into them, but just allowing them to be and working on other things in between. And then coming back to nourish them and care for them again and things like that. There is an exchange of energy when it comes to creating abundance in your life. You give and it comes back. And you give and it comes back. And you have to be able to give to get it to come back. And when you're dealing with somebody who has hurt you while you were planting seeds and who has came in and like poisoned the crop, it can feel like the entire crop is bad. But sometimes only a couple plants were affected by that. And don't worry about the plants that were affected by that, because you got all these beautiful plants over here that are growing just fine. So really just dropping and allowing it to be let go of, washing your hands of it, and realizing that everything that goes around comes around. And everything that's put out will be returned. What you're putting out will be returned, and if what you're putting out is good, then that will be coming back to you. If what you're putting out and what you're focused on is constantly wondering, worrying, or waiting on whether or not things are going to take place to make up for things you've been through, then that's what's going to be manifesting and not what you're working on and growing in your life. So try not to allow this situation to distract you from the beautiful things that you're creating. And that's what I have for that question. So between messages, if anybody wanted to be able to donate or purchase a question, you can find my information in the box below. And thank you all again for anybody who is supporting me in whatever way that is, whether that be donating, purchasing a question, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. All of that really helps me out. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you for whatever you can give, because none of it is too little. If you have it, you give it. If you don't, you give in the ways that you can. And those ways are just as big. You're very welcome. And I really hope you enjoy the rest of your day too. I'm going to take a minute to fan my phone because it's getting a little bit warm. And if I fan it, then it won't be such an issue later. Okay. I love our adventures together. You bring so much happiness to my life. I love playing with you. I love making you laugh, and I am so glad that you picked me. I would pick you every time. Then my cat started staring at me immediately when I started reading that, my new little kitten. You know what? I love you, little kitty. You're so adorable. Yes, you are. I love my babies. My fur babies are the best fur babies in the world. And you know what? If you have fur babies, they definitely want you to know right now that they absolutely love being a part of your life. And they would choose you a million times over again, because you are definitely a beacon of beauty, love, life, and light in their life, and they just absolutely love and adore you and the energy that you bring in, and they would never trade you for the world. This could be about your animals, this could be about your kids, this could be about your partner, although I did write this for an animal reading that I did at one point in time. So that's why I'm leaning more towards fur babies. But this could definitely be about your partner or about your children, about somebody in your life that just absolutely loves you. And you may be questioning that. You may be worried about it. You may be overthinking it. You may be thinking that this person has no feelings for you, or doesn't want to be around you, or doesn't like you, or whatever the case may be. And it's time now to stop worrying so much about how people feel about you, and to just start living in the moment and enjoying your time with them, because your time with them is everything. It is much more important than worrying about what's going to come from a situation. Shifting your focus to self more. I've done enough for others. And so right now, you could be dealing with a lot of alone time. and really feeling like there isn't anyone who loves you or cares about you. There isn't anyone who wants to spend time with you, or whatever the case may be. They just may be busy in their own life. And right now, be grateful for that alone time, because that alone time is your chance to get things done for you. It's your chance to take care of self. You have done so much for everyone around you, and it's time to really put some of that time, energy, effort, love, care, and everything into you too. So use this time wisely. Don't get stuck in that loneliness energy, that hurt, that pain energy, and instead use this time wisely for you and your own care. I am whole on my own. It also breaks that codependency, because that is a form of codependency. Getting stuck in depression because you have time alone, that's a sign of codependency right there. I am whole on my own. I am stronger than I think. I can do anything that I set my mind to, and that is helping me on this journey. I realize how much I have done for others in my life, and I apply those things in my own direction as well now. And if somebody's mad at me because I have decided to do this for myself, then they don't need to be a part of my life. And if I'm having problems with feeling like I'm selfish because I'm taking care of my stuff, I remind myself that, you know what, I'm not a selfish person. I have done so much for other people. I've put my time out there, my energy, my effort out there, and now I deserve to have some of that as well. And they can either support me in the same way that I supported them throughout that time, or they can turn away from me. And if they turn away from me, that's fine, because somebody will be here to support me. And also realizing that when you were doing that, sometimes when you're putting so much time, effort, and energy into others and you're not putting any into you, you're doing that because you don't want people to leave, which is a sign of codependency as well. And it may not be your bulk motivation for doing that. That may not be the biggest reason why you were doing that, or even the conscious reason why you were doing that. But at some point deep inside, you were feeling like, in order to keep these people around, because I've been abandoned by everybody I love, I got to be everything for everyone all the time. Well, right now, you need to be everything for you. And what you have left over, you can give to other people. Others can stand on their own for now as well. Sometimes people need to go on their separate journeys in order to be healthier and stronger when they come back together too. I am worthy of my own focus, and my whole being will shift once I decide to shift my focus to me. Not focusing on everyone else, what they're doing, what they're wearing, what they're saying, where they're going, what karma they're getting. All that kind of crap distracts you from focus on self. And from self-care, from energy directed towards you, from energy to heal you, to love you, to care for you, to build what you're building, to grow what you're growing. All of those things require your time, your dedication, your effort, your commitment, and your commitment to not being distracted by all of those little things that could distract you, pull you off track, pull you out of your high vibes. And it's not other people who are doing that. You're choosing to do that. You're choosing to focus on that. You're choosing to put your time, your energy, and your effort into that. You're choosing to follow those triggers into a rabbit hole. Or you can choose to heal those triggers. You can choose to focus on you. You can choose to focus on self. You can choose to focus on your goals. You can choose to focus on what is making a difference in your life and what is making your life better. You can choose to focus on high vibrational thoughts and activities. You can choose to focus on good things and the joy that's brought into your life, the blessings that are brought into your life. Or you can choose to focus on shit, and shit is what will come into your life. Somebody who disappeared a couple weeks ago just sent me a message. Pay attention to your surroundings. You might notice that you missed something that you missed before. Don't be paranoid. Just don't allow yourself to be caught off guard either. Notice and appreciate the signs that you are given as well. Wow, a lot of messages just all of a sudden instantly. Take the time to study and learn about things that you enjoy. Love bombing. Ooh. Anyway, the more that you dive in and explore, the more wisdom that you gain. Believe that you can achieve the things that you desire. Focus on yourself at this time and increasing your abilities. So, focus on you. Focus on increasing your abilities. Focus on increasing your gifts. Focus on noticing when your intuition was right and when it was just fear and paranoia leading the way and nothing ever came of it. Because there is a difference. And you can think something is so real and then find out that, wow, that really was not happening, even though I thought it was. Even though I was feeling like it was intuition telling me, but I wasn't in a peaceful state either. I was in a very paranoid, upset, hurt, hateful energy. And so what was coming into me was these beautiful little distractions that I was allowing to carry me away from reality and to give me an excuse for why these things that I don't like were going on. Instead of realizing that, maybe it didn't have everything to do with me and this person was just going through something, because when you're like, oh, this person only cares about themselves, only thinks about themselves, well, when you're paranoid that every action somebody has is because of you and has to do with you, and they're constantly thinking about you, constantly directing everything at you, constantly obsessing over you, and you're obsessing over them, think about this for a second. First off, you're obsessing over them. Second off, everything they do does not have to do with you. You are not the center of anybody's universe. You are not the sunshine that is the center of the universe. Everything is not about you all the time, and sometimes people just have a lot going on in their life. And you got to be okay with that. Sometimes you have a lot going on in your life and other people have to be okay with that too, which is part of the reason why you're spending this time alone right now and you're supposed to be focusing on yourself, is so that you can be okay with other people focusing on themselves and taking that time they need. And you can also be okay with you doing that. And you can also teach others it's okay that you're doing that and it's okay that they're doing that. Think about back in the day, before we had cell phones all the time, before we had constant love bombing, ghosting, and breadcrumbing, because back in the day, even just when I was a kid, we didn't have a phone when I was a kid. I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. We didn't have a phone. We didn't have internet. We didn't have cable. We didn't have none of that shit. We had nothing. And, okay, we had everything in some ways, though. But when you made plans with somebody to hang out, you didn't call them and be like, hey, I'm going to be there in 5 minutes. And then when somebody didn't show up because something happened, you didn't get all upset, because you know what? Everybody was busy communicating in the ways that they could. There wasn't all this extra communication nowadays. And some people have a really hard time, especially if they're older and they came from that generation where there really wasn't much communication going on like that all the time. They don't necessarily super love to be constantly in communication with people, and sometimes they just want their fucking time alone, away from fucking people. And they don't even know how to tell people that, because everybody thinks it's the worst, most awful thing in the world if somebody wants to shut off their fucking phone for a couple hours. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb on a somewhat regular basis, because there's times that I just don't want to be disturbed because I'm busy doing something that I enjoy doing. Like last night, I was hanging out with somebody and I put my phone on Do Not Disturb for the couple hours that I was over there. Actually, it was for 10 hours. And I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. And now if I didn't get back to somebody till the end of that, that's okay. Now, if they never get back to you because they're feeling guilty about not messaging you back immediately or whatever the fucking case may be, that's a different story. And at the same time, turnabout is fair play. I mean, if somebody has constantly been, I'm just not going to answer you or respond to you when you message me, and I'm not even going to address it later, and blah, 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 and then all of a sudden wants to message you out of the blue like nothing ever happened, and you decide, oh, I'm not going to deal with that right now, and I'm just going to not message you back because this is just, no, I'm not okay with this. I don't feel like talking to you right now. You're doing the same thing as them. But at the same time, maybe you could be a little less judgmental of them because you don't feel like it right now either. And for whatever reason, they didn't feel like it when they weren't. Realizing we're all human. That's one of those things that this is about, is realizing we're all human. Don't be careless in your connections. Another thing, though, is addressing that at the end of it. This is why I didn't feel like responding to you right now. This is what's been going on. And I just want to let you know it's not about you, it's more about me. That is a good thing to be doing as well, because it takes care of those connections. Be discerning of who you allow into your energy. You're responsible for the choices that you make and what you allow in your life. Know who and what you are, and make sure that you aren't accepting less than what you're worth. Don't allow others to continue walking all over you. So when it comes to people that are doing things that you don't like, and if you address it and they're still doing it, then those people do not care about your feelings at all. They have shown you that they have a complete disregard for you. If they're at least working on it and trying and really striving to do better, then at least they are showing that they care. And I know that we want everybody to do it for themselves and not for us, because the moment we're gone, then that's gone too. Or it's a mask, things like that. But at the same time, there are people who are actually going to try to respect you, and they didn't know that this is what respecting you looks like. So you have to let them know, this is what respecting me looks like. And if you want to be a part of my life, then please respect me. And if there's something that you would like me to be doing differently than what I'm doing because you feel like you're being disrespected, then let me know about that. Because nobody really knows what respect looks like to you until you express it. Don't feel like everybody should just be a mind reader. Don't feel like everybody should just know this is not okay, because this may be very okay for somebody else, but it might not be okay with you. And this person may never stop doing that. So they may have to go find people that that's okay with. Not to mention, as we've discussed before on this channel, humans are opportunists. All of us, including you, are opportunists. If you allow them to treat you a certain way, they're going to treat you a certain way, and they're going to get what they can get out of the situation. And they're going to give what they can give to the situation. What they can give to the situation may not be as abundant as what you have to offer to the situation, which means you need to pull back your energy a bit then and start offering what they're offering at the same level if you're going to keep that connection in your life. And if it makes you feel like an awful human being to offer that level, then you need to remove that person from your life and go be around people where you can be your full self. And that they're going to be the same way with you. Although giving too much, like I said before, is not a good thing. It's a very toxic thing. So, you do need to find a happy medium between giving too much and not giving enough. And you need to have people around you who are going to be in that same happy medium if you want to have healthy connections. Air Guardian, shift your perspective. So it's time to really shift your perspectives and to start seeing things in a different light. Medicine Mother, honor your inner knowing. Honor who you are as a person. Honor that healer inside of yourself. Honor your intuition, your sensitivity, your love, your vulnerability. You want to know how you honor that? By being that, not by hiding it away. Not by burying it, not by covering it up, not by pretending it doesn't exist. Not by deciding you can't give away that love because other people aren't going to give it away to you. But by being that love. And by knowing that even if those connections dissolve because those people are not giving that love back to you, maybe you taught them how to give and receive love with others. And maybe in their next connection, because they lost this one, they're going to be more giving and loving and kind and generous with the person that they're with. And maybe some of them will have to go through that painful process of learning how not to give too much because they got into the state that they were in of not giving enough by giving too much to begin with. Because now they're in protective mode. Oracle, wait for important information. So, before you make the decisions that you make, don't just jump into things without taking some time to build a solid foundation as well. Without taking time to get to know each other, without taking time to build something. Trust your intuition and the signs and synchronicities that it brings to you. Trust the thoughts that you have, the ideas that you have, the understandings that you have. And wait for important information, for signs, synchronicities, and messages to be coming into you, because you have the ability to be able to decipher those things and to really be able to figure out the situation at hand. But if you attach yourself to it too quickly, then you have a tendency to not want to lose that situation because you put a lot of time, effort, energy, love into that situation. And that's why that need for a balanced give is so important. A balanced give and take, yes, but a balanced give, because you're not going to have a balanced take if you don't have a balanced give. Wow, I think that's like 15 messages. I don't know. Apparently the way I'm handling this time is a little differently than last time, which I definitely know it is, because last time I got all pissed off and fuck you, motherfucker, fucking doing this shit. What the hell's wrong with you? This time I just decided, okay, you don't want to talk to me? You don't have to talk to me. I got other shit to do anyway. Oh well. And it's been like 2 weeks. The way you handle things can be switched and can be changed until you find one that actually works for you. Until you find one that actually turns something into a situation that you want it to be. If something's not working in one way, are you going to continue to do the same thing over and over and over again to the point of insanity, expecting different results? Or are you going to try to do things in a different way and see what results come in? They still may not be the ones you're looking for, but different results are going to come in. And that doesn't mean you're changing you as a core of a human being, but what it does mean is you're changing the way that you handle things so that different results come in. And it's a good thing to be able to know that you can do that, because then you don't end up like one of those old dogs who never learn any new tricks. And there's plenty of old dogs that can learn new tricks very easily, by the way. But there's plenty of them that can't. And it's because they're so stuck in their ways that they can't learn anything new. Do you want to be somebody that's so stuck in your ways that you can't learn anything new? Or are you going to be somebody who's okay with trying to do things in a way that may be different than you used to think was a good way of doing things? And are you going to judge yourself for it because you judged others for it in the past? Or are you going to be okay with it and realize that maybe some of those people were doing things out of what was best for them at the time? Just like right now you're doing things out of what's best for you at the time. You're not allowing all those things to distract you. You're not allowing all the craziness or emotions or chaos or drama of others to fill up your life, and you're just focusing on your shit. But maybe at one point you had other people that were focusing on their shit and not what you had going on, because you were bringing a lot of drama, chaos, instability into their life in some way or another. They were still choosing to allow it to affect them, just like you were choosing to allow that to affect you. But either way, it's still partially them and partially you. It's the interaction between both of you and both of your actions that caused things to happen. So now, what actions can you make today to do things in a little bit different of a way and test that out and see what happens and not be afraid of it? Seeing things from a new perspective also entails you to notice all the options that you have around you. You have so many different things that you could do, so many different things that you could be. You are so worthy, so amazing. Being able to delve into your imagination a little bit and be okay with that as well, without going into a triggering spiral of rabbit hole madness. Being able to delve into your imagination and be peaceful about it. Being able to delve into your emotions, grow, learn, and heal those emotions. Being able to understand that we are all responsible for our own emotions entails that we go, wait a second, this person isn't responsible for how I was feeling. I am. So what's going on inside of me that's causing these feelings? That's causing me to be thrown off balance? Because yeah, this person may be triggering it, but they're not responsible for it. I'm responsible for it. And when we take that action to say, I am responsible for what I'm feeling in my life, what I'm doing in my life, where I'm going in my life, we're not blaming anybody else anymore. We're not in victimhood mentality anymore. We are taking responsibility and accountability, and we are making the changes necessary inside of ourselves to create a different life for ourselves. And the sky is the limit. Believe that's true, know that's true, and put in that work to bring about the most abundant crop you ever could. Because that's what self-healing does. It brings about the most abundant crop you ever could. And you may feel like, oh, I'm miles ahead of so many people. It's not a competition. It's what can I do for me today? Not what can I do to judge others today. Yes, pat yourself on the back and be proud of yourself. But don't feel like you have nothing left to learn either. Because we can always learn. We can always grow. It's just like when people are like, oh, you can't be a healer and spiritual leader unless you're perfect. Excuse me, no. A true healer and spiritual leader knows that they are human. And they are not perfect, and they're not above anybody. The rock at the top of the mountain's mighty face doesn't feel like it's more important than the ones that form the base. Not if it's humble. And now the song Humble and Kind is coming to mind too. I think it's by Tim McGraw. I don't listen to much by Tim McGraw, but that's one of the songs that I do like by Tim McGraw. Most of the country I listen to, if I listen to country, is more of the poppy country, like Goodbye Earl or Shania Twain, Any Man of Mine, or That Don't Impress Me Much. Oh, that's a great song. That don't impress me much. Oh, 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 yeah. So you got the looks, but have you got the touch? Anyway, you are gaining so much strength from all of the things that you are doing for yourself right now. You're gaining clarity on all the options that you have, and you're no longer settling for things that are not good for you. And I'm not saying things that are less than you or things that are unworthy of you, but things that are not good for you. Because those things may be very good for somebody else, but they're just not a good fit for you. That doesn't make them an evil person. That doesn't make them the worst, most despicable being alive. And in some cases, you may even be the villain in their stories too. Because there's their side, there's your side, then there's the truth, which is both sides combined. And there's some truth on both sides. Tap into that strength that you have inside of you, the strength that your emotions bring you. And the only way that you can do that is through healing those emotions. When you heal those emotions, they become a strength instead of a deterrent. Maybe even seeing the emotional strength and stability of somebody else that you once thought just didn't have emotions, or that you once thought was very cold or cruel. Also knowing that if you have dealt with somebody who was a gaslighter, a manipulator, somebody that was very cold, cruel, calm, calculated, emotionless in some sort of way, that there is going to be some sort of important information coming out in this situation as well. That is going to allow you to shift your perspectives and see things differently. It's going to allow you to forgive, release, and control. It's going to allow you to have that compassion needed and necessary to be able to deal with the situation at hand. There could definitely be somebody that's getting ready to face some very severe and heavy karma for something that they did. And they may be seeking out your forgiveness. They may be coming clean, exposing the truth and expressing themselves and seeking that forgiveness from you. Are you going to give that forgiveness? Or are you going to take judgment in your own hands? Because it's not yours to hold. When you do that, you destroy your own life. Or you can forgive, you can wash your hands of it, you can let it go. You can show that kindness, compassion, and empathy that you're hoping to get from others for some of your less than amazing qualities yourself. Unconditional love, right? Naked by LMI is coming to mind right now. So that unconditional love goes both ways. If you expect to receive it, then you have to be willing to give it as well. Even if you never have this person in your life again. Even if you completely cut yourself off from the situation. Even if you feel like this person was extremely evil in some of the things that they did. They will get theirs. That's the way it works. But will you get theirs too? Or will you let this situation go? Because you won't be getting theirs, you'll be getting yours if you can't let the situation go. Gypsy blood. Anyway, back to this poem, Gypsy blood. The wind in my hair beckons me to live my life wild and free. Gypsy blood runs in these veins, horses' hooves on empty plains. My heart races in my chest, I know I won't fail this test. It's time to move, I know it's true, this passion fills far too few. Standing still is not my thing, rhythm makes my heart sing. Stepping up to the plate, my passions I will truly sate. People kill themselves sometimes trying to stay in one position to make other people happy and comfortable. And to also assuage their fears because they don't want to face their fears of what could happen if they make the moves necessary to make their life a happier life. What fills you with passion? What fills you with inspiration? What makes you feel good? What makes you feel like you're living? Do those things, because those things are what is going to fulfill you the most. I'm crying tears of joy because I know that you will succeed. You got this. I am so sorry that I couldn't be with you in the 3D in your special moment, but know that I am still here watching it all. I am so proud of you and I hope that you know it. Get quiet and you will feel my presence. When you're feeling alone, know that you're not. When you're feeling scared because you're facing a lot of things on your own, know that you're just fine. You are safe. You are loved. You are cared for. And sometimes we all have to go on journeys on our own in order to get to where we are meant to be. If you would have stayed in that situation, it would have cost you your life and your destiny. Don't feel guilt for walking away. Sometimes it is the best thing. Courage and brains, sometimes it's the best thing. Someone had to have the courage and brains, and that was you. Remember how strong you are and how far you have come. Somebody had to end this cycle. Whatever this cycle is that you're feeling guilty for moving away from or walking away from, or you're afraid of walking away from, somebody had to end it. It had to come to a close. When I left my ex, I told him I know neither one of us wants to be divorced like our parents. I know neither one of us wants to be to blame for this. I know that neither one of us wants to admit defeat. I know that both of us wants to fight this to the death. But we are completely and totally toxic to each other. Completely. And it's not getting any better, it's getting worse in some ways. One of us has to end this. And if I have to be the bad guy to do that, I will be the bad guy. Because this needs to be over. What is best for our kids is for us to be happy. And we are both completely miserable in this situation. It is not better for our kids for us to stay here fighting for this and clinging to this. It's better for them to watch us walk away from this and heal. So if there is something in your life that you need to walk away from and heal, Do not feel guilty about that. Do not feel ashamed about that. Do not feel like you should have put in more effort. At this point, I feel like you've put in as much effort as anybody ever could, and nobody could ever blame you for walking away from this situation. But it needs to be done, because it can turn into a much worse situation and a much more deadly one. Trust in that intuitive nudging. Others openly bullied you. They tried to make you feel completely alone in a very cruel and dark world. One or two may have even hoped that you would commit suicide to solve their problem. You. Don't let them win. Stay here and succeed. It will eat them alive, because they will not succeed in taking you out either. And now the choice is in your hands. Are you going to take you out for them, or are you going to stay here and win this battle? And not this battle against them. This battle with yourself. And free yourself from the pain, the hurt, the hardship, the triggers, the codependency, the loneliness, the heartache, the despair, the depression. Win that battle. Don't allow it to eat you alive. So in between messages, if anybody wanted to be able to donate or purchase a question, you can find my Cash App, PayPal, Amazon wish list, and P.O. box in the description box below. I truly appreciate each and every one of you who does that, and anybody who comments, likes, shares, subscribes on this channel or my other one. I really do appreciate you guys. Your support means the world to me as much as mine does to you, so thank you so much for that in whatever way you do it. And let's see what else needs to be discussed today. And if you're wanting to get a question in, now's a good time to do it, because I'm going to do this one more message here to finish it out and then call it good, unless there is somebody with a question afterwards. Okay. Mirror by Lil Wayne. With everything happening today, you never know whether you're coming or going. Life lined up on the mirror. Don't blow it. I missed some lyrics, I know that. Look at me when I'm talking to you. You're looking at me, but I'm looking through you. I see the blood in your eyes. I see the love in disguise. I see the pain hidden in your lies. I see you're not satisfied. It's nothing but pride. And when I'm looking at you, I'm looking at myself, because I'm looking in the mirror. I'm busy right now. No, I'm okay today. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Got my haircut.
Nice.
Why are you doing work?
Yeah.
So you don't need nothing?
No, thank you, though. Have a good day. So that's the 77-year-old who is 3 years older than my childhood molester, who would really like something with me, but it ain't happening. And I'm pretty sure I've already made that abundantly clear. But anyway, there's a lot of that around here, guys. There's so much of that around here, and I've asked so many of them, why don't you look for a woman your own age if age means nothing? Because apparently age means something to you. Anyway, a change in thought. As I sit and ponder life, my mind is filled with chaos and strife. Taking time to find the peace allows the clamoring thoughts to cease. I see myself in a new light, one that fills me with new fight. Release the old to let in new. Thoughts I think are like glue. Negative thinking keeps me stuck in the past. Positive thinking can work pretty fast. Rewiring my mind to think in new ways. Filling my inner child with bright new praise. So it's time to start telling yourself all the good things that you would like to hear from other people. And you might be thinking, oh, it's not as good, but it is. It's even better, because the only person who can change your view and opinion of yourself is you. Other people only have as much power as you allow them to have. And if you take that power back into your own hands and you fill yourself with love, positivity, praise, joy, happiness, people can't take that from you. Not if you don't let them. And sometimes when your entire mind is filled with, oh, you're so stupid, you're a little whore, you're a little cunt, you're a little bitch. Which, yes, my mom said all those things to me. Every last one of them. She called me a cunt when I was very young, honestly. And a whore and everything else. But you can change that voice in your head. You aren't those things just because somebody projected them at you. What are you? Ask yourself, really, truly, deeply, what are you? And if you see some things that need to change, then work to change those things so that you can be proud of those things. But if you see some things that you should be proud of, then start saying them. When you catch yourself going, oh, that was so stupid, I shouldn't have done that. Ask yourself, wait a second, was that stupid or was that just an accident that happened? And this could have happened to anybody, really. Things happen sometimes. I'm only human. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that I made a mistake today because guess what? That helps me learn for tomorrow. Reparenting. Wow, it's amazing how synchronistic this lines up sometimes. I'm going to put my phone back on this water bottle or water cup to keep it cool. It's getting hot again. Reparenting. A purpose and a reason, all in its season. You were made for something great others' opinions shouldn't rate. You're amazing as you are. Knowing this will get you far. There's nothing here for me to say. How will you know without a new day? The sun always comes back out. The storm will clear. Sometimes you just need a good pout. Then I want you to stand up straight. Set aside this self-hate. You deserve love in your life. I know that you are facing so much strife. If no one is there to give it to you, do what no one is there to do. Self-soothing has lost its popularity, but see it now with new clarity. This is why we need to be taught, so when we're alone by darkness, we won't be caught. I'll say this much, my oldest daughter, we lived in one room when we had her, and her dad worked graveyard. So there was not very much self-soothing there because he needed to be able to sleep. With our second daughter, there was a bit more self-soothing there because we lived in an apartment where, she can self-soothe a little bit while we're dealing with other stuff. And not saying, I just left her there to deal with everything all by herself or anything like that. There's a happy medium, just like with anything else. But there was times where I just let her cry it out because every baby sometimes just needs to cry it out. My older daughter spends a lot of time with people and has a really hard time with nobody around. My younger daughter spends a lot of time alone and it drives everybody around her crazy because they want to spend time with her. But she knows how to self-soothe because she's done it all her life, kind of like me. And for different reasons, because hers was more a moderated self-soothing. Mine was more neglect. I was severely neglected a lot throughout my childhood. My mom was a single mother with 5 kids, and she worked a lot. And in between working a lot, she gambled a lot. And my sisters were busy dealing with their own molestation from their childhood, which was a separate molestation thing because they actually grew up at different times than me. But they were teenagers at that point. And they were too busy partying, drinking, doing drugs, all that kind of shit to actually take care of things at home. So, it was just a very alone childhood, which is probably why I don't handle alone so harshly as some people do, because I went through a lot of alone in my life. Yes, sometimes it does trigger those old childhood wounds still, but at the end of the day, I know I'm strong enough to make it through it. And I tell myself that, you know what? There are people that love me. It doesn't matter if I'm alone today. I'm never actually alone. There are people that love me and care about me. And there are those who are going to be there if I reach out to them, but I have to reach out to them as well. Because sometimes you do. People cannot help you with anything unless you put it out there. Like the song Lean on Me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for no one can heal. Those are your things that you won't mention. How are they supposed to help you with anything that you don't mention? Nobody is a mind reader. And yes, there are people who have gifts, and you may have gifts where you can really pick up on things from people very, very highly. A lot of that's because of the abuse that you went through. So you can pick up on things very highly. It doesn't mean everybody can. And also, just because you can pick up on things very highly doesn't mean you're picking up on everything either. You still may not be filling some of the needs others have, but if they're not mentioning them, that's not your bad. And even when it comes to that, if you're filling their needs and they're not mentioning them, most of the time they're very unappreciative and very ungrateful for it because they never asked you for that anyway. So sometimes it's better to hold back too and not do that constantly for others, because sometimes they have to go through that themselves so that they can learn that too. It's time to get up and dust yourself off. Move forward. No more wallowing. Notice everything around you. You have been through a lot, but you are amazingly strong. Tap into your inner strength and know that you can handle it all. Take it one day at a time and one step at a time. Things will improve steadily as your attitude about life improves, as your attitude about yourself improves, as your attitude about others improves. Think of all the things that you have faced and don't let this one thing knock you down when so many things in the past couldn't. Remember who you are and take your power back. Others tried to break you, but they couldn't. See how amazing that is and be proud of you and keep going. Just be alive and live life again. And just because some people tried to break you doesn't mean everybody is out to do that. And also, a lot of people may look like they're trying to do that when really they're just hurting themselves. And they're dealing with their own pain in the way that they know how, which isn't always the healthiest ways, and which sometimes hurts other people. You have a lot more pull than you know. Use it for good things. With your help, we can change this world, one voice and one action at a time. Encourage others around you to use their voices as well. And be the voice. When you don't see the voice, be the voice. When you don't see a good person, be a good person. And then you'll start to see more of them too. And you'll start to see that other people want to change to be a better person. And also remember that just because you're a good person doesn't mean you don't have your downsides to you too. Because you do. Because we all do. On top of the world, nothing you do or say will faze me. My level up is on key. Self-love is taking place. With it, nothing is too hard to face. On top of the world is where I'm at. No time to dwell on a dirty rat. Closing cycles left and right. Nothing is ever out of sight. You can't stop me. Can't you see? Work on you to set yourself free. There's no more time for a busy bee. Set your eyes on your own lane. Who is now the one that's sane? You never had the power to take me out. My faith was strong, never a doubt. The divine being's at my side. You're not welcome on this ride. So, once again, with the not allowing those people to distract you from your goals, from what you're achieving, and like you're telling them to work on themselves, work on yourself. Because if you're feeling like others can stop you, or others can hurt you, or others can tear you down, then there is still some work to do on yourself to set yourself free. Just like there's still work for them to do on themselves to set themselves free. And that's where you release some of that judgment as well, and you start to forgive more, let go more, and release more. A totally new way of life and living is manifesting around you. Everything is shifting for you. Your hard work is paying off. Your dedication to yourself is showing, and your boundaries are spot on. And maybe you'll teach some of these people through example, because that's the best way to teach anybody, is through example. That is one thing that my mom taught me, is lead by example. But she would also tell me, lead by example, Danielle. What example are you setting for your brothers and sisters? But she would also, on the other side of the coin, tell me, do as I say, not as I do. So she wasn't leading by example either. People will respect you much more when you're leading by the example that you're trying to get them to live. Don't let the thought that you are mean or that others are hurt stop you from doing what you need to do. Tough love is love too, believe it or not. No more enabling bad behaviors. When trust is broken, it needs to be earned back, and they can live with that or they can be gone. They shouldn't have done what they did, and now they know better. They can still choose to repeat it, or you can still choose to walk away at any point if you decide to let them back in. You have learned to detach yourself from the outcome. You have learned to detach yourself from the outcome, which means these situations coming back around into your life, you're going to be handling them differently. Kind of like that guy I was talking about earlier. You're going to be handling these situations differently than you did in the past. And now it's going to be triggering some of their wounds, and they're going to have to learn how to deal with those wounds. Look for inspiration in everything and everyone around you. You can learn and grow from it all if you allow it in. Be discerning in all that you do, but don't run away out of fear. There is a difference. Allow yourself to bloom because it is time for spring. It is time for spring. We were talking about that earlier with the spring card that came out. And the seeds that you have planted, have faith in those seeds that you have planted and the roots that they have gained and the growth that they are going to be having coming to them in the near future. Fall may be a far way off, but spring is what makes a good fall. So what seeds are you planting, nourishing, and watering and caring for today that's going to make a good tomorrow? She-wolf, unleash the wild within. Mirror guardian, take time to reflect. So, the beautiful, wild nature and aspects of yourself, those aspects that some people may relate to animals, even though they don't relate the good aspects to animals, they relate a lot of the bad aspects to animals. You have wild within you that is begging to be released and begging to be allowed out to live. And it's time to listen to that call. And it's time to not be ashamed or feel guilty or feel like you are somehow an awful, bad, horrible human being for being that beautiful part of yourself and allowing that part of yourself to shine. Reflect on what you've been through, how you've handled it, where you've gone, and where you're going, and where you want to go. And decide today that there are some things that I need to do in my life to change certain situations or certain ways I'm behaving or acting or reacting so that I can have the results that I'm wanting, because the ways that I'm doing it or I've done it in the past have not brought me the results that I was looking for. So now I can choose today to try different things to make a new way. And that's where it comes from. Learning, growing, expanding. Forgiving yourself for the past, forgiving others for the past, and allowing yourself to just be a human. And allowing others to just be a human. And there's nothing wrong with a human. But humans are not perfect beings and never will be. So that is what I have for today's reading. Thank you guys so much for being here today, for all the comments, for all the support, the likes, the shares, the subscribes. Thank you for listening and taking something from this and putting it to use in your life, because it makes what I'm doing worthwhile. And thank you to all of those who support my channel through donations of whatever kind as well. I truly appreciate you guys so much. And there's been a little less of my pick a cards this week, and there will be, because you know what, it's my birthday tomorrow night, so it's my birthday week, and I've been doing a lot more for me this week. So that's where that's coming from. And I really hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you have a good one. Bye bye, guys.